Sagittarius, stepping into freedom and embracing self-acceptance. Comes a time in every soul's journey when we must stop running from who we are. The pursuit of perfection, the weight of unmet expectations, and the unresolved emotions of the past can keep us trapped in cycles of self-doubt, guilt, and fear. But today I invite you to step into a new chapter, one of freedom and acceptance. Your mother, in her infinite wisdom, taught you the most profound lesson of all: to love yourself just as you are. She showed you that love isn't about being perfect. It's about being authentic. It's about embracing who you truly are, flaws and all, and living without the weight of judgment or the burden of unmet expectations. Her love was never conditional, and now as you stand at the threshold of self-acceptance, it's time for you to learn that you don't need to be perfect to be loved by your mother, by the universe, and most importantly, by yourself. In this video, we'll explore the journey of stepping into true freedom. The freedom to accept yourself, to let go of past regrets, and to walk forward with a heart full of self-love. It's time to stop hiding and start living the life that was always meant for you. Free from fear, free from judgment, and free from the need to be anything other than your true self. If you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to Zodiac Wisdom, where we continue to explore the depths of self-love, spiritual growth, and the wisdom of the stars. Together, we will walk this beautiful path of healing and transformation. Now let's begin the journey of stepping into freedom. Gate 1. Unresolved issues, facing the fear of what you haven't done and the fear of facing yourself. Sagittarius, there is a weight we often carry within us. The weight of things left unsaid, actions left undone, and parts of ourselves that we haven't fully embraced. These unresolved issues from the past, whether they're regrets, missed opportunities, or emotions we've tucked away, can create a quiet but insistent feeling of fear and hesitation. The fear of facing what we've avoided, of confronting the parts of us we don't want to acknowledge, can be paralyzing. But in truth, the journey to freedom and self-acceptance begins with facing these unresolved feelings, gently, compassionately, and with the understanding that they no longer define you. You've likely experienced moments when you've questioned yourself, wondering if you've done enough, been enough, or if there are things you could have done differently. Regret often sits like a shadow, casting doubts over the beautiful moments of your life. Maybe there are things you didn't say to your mother, words left unsaid, or actions left incomplete that linger in your heart. These unresolved issues from the past can sometimes create a barrier between who you are and who you wish to be. But facing these unresolved issues doesn't mean you have to carry them forever. It doesn't mean that you have to stay stuck in the guilt of what you didn't do, or the fear of confronting what you've been avoiding. Instead, it means accepting that these parts of you, your past mistakes, your missed chances, the things you wish you could have done differently, are simply part of your story. They don't define you. They are the stepping stones that have brought you here, to this moment of growth, healing, and self-discovery. The fear of facing yourself. One of the hardest things to do, Sagittarius, is to face the parts of ourselves that we fear. We often avoid looking at our own vulnerabilities, our flaws, and our regrets because we believe that confronting them will make us weak or imperfect. But the truth is, facing yourself, embracing your imperfections, is the key to unlocking true freedom. Your mother, in her wisdom, showed you that love is not about being perfect. It is about accepting yourself completely, your strengths, your weaknesses, your victories, and your failures. She never expected you to be flawless. She understood that growth comes not from avoiding the things that scare us, but from facing them head-on, with the grace and courage that lies deep within us. In your journey, you may have found yourself avoiding certain emotions, pain from the past, guilt over what you didn't do, or the fear of failure. The fear of facing these feelings can be so overwhelming that we build walls around them, hoping they will disappear on their own. But they never do. They quietly linger, weighing on our hearts, affecting how we move forward in life. But the beauty of stepping into self-acceptance is realizing that those fears, those past regrets, and those unresolved issues don't have the power to define you unless you allow them to. They are simply experiences, not the sum of who you are. To step into your true freedom, you must look at these parts of yourself with compassion and kindness, knowing that they are not failures. They are the raw, real aspects of you that make you beautifully human, releasing the burden of unresolved feelings. Let's pause here, Sagittarius, and ask yourself, what are the unresolved feelings or regrets that you've been carrying? What are the moments from the past that you still haven't forgiven yourself for? Perhaps there's a part of you that feels like you should have done more, said more, or been more present for someone you love, maybe even for your mother. Take a deep breath and acknowledge those feelings. They are real, and they deserve to be heard. But remember this: you are not meant to carry them forever. You do not need to be burdened by past mistakes or what you wish you had done differently. You are allowed to release those feelings, to forgive yourself for not being perfect, and to move forward with love in your heart. A powerful way to begin this process of healing and release is through self-forgiveness. When you face the fear of what you haven't done, the key is to recognize that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. The love you gave was enough. The effort you made was enough. The moments you shared were enough. Your journey has been guided by love, and that love has shaped you into the person you are today. Take a moment, Sagittarius, and gently place your hand over your heart. Tell yourself, I forgive you. I forgive myself for everything I wish I could have done differently. I release the burden of regret and open myself to healing. With each breath, feel the weight of the past lifting from your shoulders. Feel the space you're creating for self-love and self-acceptance. When you face these unresolved emotions, you free yourself from the grip they have on your life. You create space for healing, for growth, and for living in alignment with the love your mother showed you. Love that was never based on perfection, but on presence and acceptance. Sagittarius, self-acceptance begins with the willingness to face the parts of yourself that you've hidden away. It is a journey of courage, vulnerability, and healing. It's about learning to love yourself, not despite your imperfections, but because of them. And when you begin to do this, you will step into a freedom that will allow you to live your truth, with love in your heart and peace in your soul. Gate 2. Embracing imperfection. The powerful lesson your mother taught you about self-acceptance. Sagittarius, in our world, there is a constant pull towards perfection. Society, culture, and even our inner voices often tell us that we must be flawless in order to be worthy of love, success, and peace. We are conditioned to believe that perfection is a standard we must meet, or we are somehow less than unworthy. But your mother, in all her wisdom and grace, taught you a lesson that you must carry with you. Imperfection is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. Your mother's love was never about perfection. It was about your presence. She didn't love you because you were perfect. She loved you because you were authentically you. She saw your flaws, your mistakes, your struggles, and she loved you not in spite of them, but because of them. She loved you for your humanity, for your heart, for the light you brought into the world, even when you didn't feel like you were shining at your brightest. We all have our imperfections, Sagittarius. We all have our moments of doubt, our moments of failure, and our moments when we feel like we haven't done enough. But the truth is that imperfection is part of the human experience, and it is in our imperfections that we often find the most profound growth and wisdom. Your mother knew this better than anyone. She understood that love was never about being flawless. It was about being present, being real, and showing up with an open heart, even when things weren't perfect. The gift of imperfection. Your mother's love was a gift that transcended any expectation of perfection. She didn't require you to be flawless to earn her love. She loved you regardless of your mistakes, your weaknesses, and your flaws. This is a profound lesson, Sagittarius, one that you must remember as you move forward in your journey. To love yourself is to accept yourself completely, including the parts of you that feel imperfect, broken, or unfinished. Think about the times when you felt like you weren't good enough. Perhaps moments where you didn't meet your own expectations or someone else's. These feelings of inadequacy can often overshadow our true essence, leading us to believe that we must become something we are not in order to be worthy. But your mother would want you to know, you were always enough. You were enough when you were struggling. You were enough when you were failing. You were enough when you were simply being yourself. There is a story that comes to mind about a woman named Anna, a Sagittarius who struggled with the idea of imperfection for years. Anna was always striving to meet the expectations of others. She pushed herself relentlessly, thinking that only through perfection could she prove her worth. But when her mother passed away, Anna was left with a deep sense of loss, not just from her mother's absence, but from the realization that she had never truly loved herself as she was. She had always felt like she had to become someone else to earn love, but her mother had always loved her just as she was. In the months following her mother's passing, Anna began to learn a powerful lesson. Imperfection is not something to hide. It is something to embrace. She began to see that the love her mother had for her was never about perfection. It was about the connection, the shared moments, the authenticity of their bond. Her mother had loved her because she was her, not because she was perfect. And in that realization, Anna began to love herself more deeply, learning to forgive herself for the moments she had once deemed as failures. Embracing yourself fully. Sagittarius, to step into freedom and self-acceptance, you must embrace your imperfections. These imperfections are what make you uniquely you. They are not flaws to be hidden or ashamed of. They are the threads that weave your story, the experiences that have shaped you into the person you are today. Your mother understood this. She understood that love isn't about perfection, it's about acceptance. She didn't expect you to be flawless. She simply wanted you to show up, to be present, to love with all your heart. And now it's time for you to give yourself that same love. You deserve to accept yourself, to love yourself with all your imperfections, and to understand that these imperfections are the building blocks of your true strength. When you face moments of doubt, when you feel like you're not good enough, take a moment to reflect on the love your mother gave you. She loved you in your messiness, your struggles, and your failures. She loved you not because you were perfect, but because you were hers. She accepted you completely, flaws and all. Now it's time for you to accept yourself the same way. Self-acceptance is freedom. To truly accept yourself is to free yourself from the chains of perfectionism. It is to allow yourself to be who you are, to love yourself despite your flaws, and to understand that you are worthy of love simply because you exist. You don't have to earn love through perfection. Love is already inside you. Your mother's love was the foundation of that truth. And now, it's time for you to carry that lesson forward. Every time you catch yourself striving for perfection, remind yourself that you are enough, just as you are. Every time you feel the weight of self-doubt, remember that your mother loved you without condition. She saw the real you, the authentic you, and that is the version of you that deserves all the love in the world. Gate 3, feeling loved without a reason, your mother's lesson on unconditional love. Sagittarius, one of the most profound truths your mother imparted to you is that love does not require a reason. It doesn't need to be earned, measured, or justified. Love simply is. It flows freely, abundantly, and without any conditions. In the rush of life, we often find ourselves trying to prove our worth, constantly seeking validation, and thinking that we must do something in order to be loved. But your mother showed you that love isn't a transaction. It's a gift that doesn't depend on your achievements, your successes, or your perfection. Think back to the times when your mother held you in her arms, offering you comfort. She didn't love you because of anything you did or didn't do. She loved you simply because you were hers. This kind of love is not transactional. It is unconditional. It is love that sees you not for what you can provide or how well you perform, but for who you are at your core. Your mother's love was the kind of love that didn't need a reason to exist. It simply did because you were you. In our lives, we often feel like we must prove our worthiness for love. We think that if we achieve enough, do enough, or be enough, then we will finally be worthy of love and acceptance. We strive for external validation, thinking that if we meet certain standards or expectations, we will earn the right to feel loved. But this is a lie. Love doesn't need to be earned. It is already within you, freely given without any conditions or reasons. The healing power of unconditional love. Unconditional love is healing, Sagittarius. It is the balm for the wounds we carry, the peace we seek in moments of anxiety, and the comfort we crave in times of fear. Your mother's love didn't ask for anything in return. It was a love that simply flowed, unencumbered by conditions or expectations. And in that love you were safe. In her love you found peace. In her love you found the freedom to simply be yourself, without the need to prove anything, without the need to perform or meet anyone else's expectations. You are loved, Sagittarius, without reason, without judgment, and without the need to be perfect. This is a powerful lesson, and one that you must carry with you as you move forward in your life. When you begin to accept this truth, when you begin to understand that love doesn't require perfection, you free yourself from the chains of self-doubt and the burden of always trying to prove your worth. Your mother's love was a constant reminder that you were enough, just as you were. And now, as you embrace her lesson of unconditional love, you must begin to love yourself in the same way. Love yourself without needing to prove anything. Love yourself in your flaws, your mistakes, your victories, and your challenges. Love yourself simply because you are you. Learning to love without conditions. So often we put conditions on our love. We tell ourselves that we will love ourselves only when we reach a certain goal, achieve a particular milestone, or meet a certain standard. But your mother's love was never like that. She loved you in your darkest moments, when you felt lost, when you felt weak, and when you felt unworthy. She loved you even when you couldn't see your own worth. Her love never depended on what you did or didn't do. It was a pure, unconditional love that simply existed because she loved you. This is the kind of love you must extend to yourself. Let go of the conditions you've placed on your self-love. You do not have to wait until you are perfect to love yourself. You do not have to wait until you've achieved everything you've set out to accomplish. You are worthy of love right now, just as you are. Your mother's love is a reminder that you are enough. You do not have to prove your worth to anyone, including yourself. Love flows freely and abundantly, and it is yours to receive at any time. So begin to love yourself without hesitation, without fear, and without conditions. Love yourself as your mother loved you, simply and wholly. The freedom of unconditional love. Sagittarius, when you step into the understanding that love doesn't need a reason or a condition, you unlock a new level of freedom. This freedom is the freedom to be yourself without the pressure to meet anyone's expectations or standards. It is the freedom to embrace your imperfections, to make mistakes without self-judgment, and to live authentically without the need for approval. When you accept that you are loved without conditions, you no longer have to chase after approval or validation. You are already enough. You already have all the love you need, not because of what you've done, but simply because you are. This is the freedom your mother wanted for you. To love yourself fully without fear or limitation. As you continue your journey, remember this. Your mother's love is not bound by time or space. It exists in every breath you take, in every quiet moment of peace, in every act of self-compassion. You are worthy of love simply because you exist. The love that your mother gave you, the love that you were born into, is already yours. It is a gift that will never leave you, a love that will always surround you, and it is yours to carry forward in the way you love yourself and others. Gate 4. Freedom is when you dare to live as your true self, embracing the liberation of living honestly. Sagittarius, one of the most beautiful, yet often most difficult, gifts you can give yourself is the freedom to be yourself, completely, without apology and without pretense. It is so easy to fall into the trap of trying to meet the expectations of others, or to mold yourself into something you believe the world wants you to be. But true freedom comes not from conforming to those external pressures, but from embracing who you truly are, authentically, vulnerably, and without fear. Living authentically means embracing your true essence, not the version of you that is shaped by societal standards, family expectations, or the masks you wear to protect yourself. The truth is, when you live authentically, you free yourself from the need to constantly perform, from the weight of others' judgments, and from the fear that you are not enough. You are enough, Sagittarius, just as you are. Your mother, in her unconditional love, always saw you for who you truly were. She didn't love you because of what you achieved, or because of how perfectly you behaved. She loved you because of your heart, your spirit, and your soul. She saw you, the real, unfiltered version of you. Her love was never based on performance or meeting expectations. It was simply based on the truth of who you were. And this, Sagittarius, is the freedom she hoped for you. To embrace yourself, just as you are, without fear or hesitation. Breaking free from the chains of self-doubt. Living authentically requires us to face one of our greatest challenges: self-doubt. Self-doubt can often hold us back from living fully, from stepping into our true power. We are afraid of being judged, of being misunderstood, or of not being accepted. But living authentically means that we embrace these fears, not as obstacles but as teachers. We learn that the opinions of others, while they may sting, do not define us. The only thing that truly matters is how we feel about ourselves, and whether we are living true to our own heart. I want you to reflect on the times when you've held back parts of yourself, when you've hidden your true feelings, or when you've tried to conform to what others expected of you. How did that feel? Did it bring you peace, or did it leave you feeling restless, disconnected, and exhausted? Living authentically, Sagittarius, means embracing your true self, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it's hard. The truth is, self-doubt is a natural part of growth. But as you continue to embrace the love your mother gave you, you will begin to realize that you are worthy of showing up as your true, authentic self. You do not need to hide. You do not need to apologize for being who you are. You are enough just as you are. The liberation of being seen. For so long, you may have hidden behind a mask, pretending to be someone you are not, either to protect yourself from judgment or because you were unsure of how to truly express yourself. But when you let go of these facades, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and authentic, a tremendous sense of freedom emerges. You no longer have to carry the weight of pretending. You no longer have to live in the shadow of fear and self-doubt. True freedom comes when you are no longer afraid of being seen. You are no longer afraid of your flaws, your imperfections, your vulnerabilities. You are ready to step into your truth to show the world who you really are, and most importantly, to show yourself. You are worthy of being seen, worthy of being loved, and worthy of living the life that aligns with your true essence. Your mother, in her infinite wisdom, always wanted you to know that you don't have to hide. She loved you in your truest form, not in the form that others expected. She loved you because of your heart, your spirit, and your courage to be who you are. Now it's time for you to live this truth. It's time to stop hiding from yourself and to start embracing the beauty of your authentic self. Living without apology. Sagittarius, living authentically means living without apology. It means showing up in the world as the person you are, without needing to make excuses for your thoughts, your feelings, or your choices. So often we apologize for simply existing as if we need permission to be ourselves. But your mother never expected you to apologize for being who you were. She loved you for your unique qualities, for your spirit, for your strengths and your vulnerabilities. To live authentically is to live without apologies. It's to stop seeking approval from others, because you already know that your worth is not determined by anyone else's opinions. It's to embrace your imperfections, to love yourself with all your heart, and to stop pretending to be something you are not. You are allowed to be fully you without fear, without shame, and without apology. As you move forward, remember that you are free to be yourself. You do not need to seek anyone's approval. You are loved simply because you are. This is the true freedom your mother always wanted for you. To live your life unapologetically, to embrace every part of yourself, and to walk the world with confidence and grace. Living your truth is the most powerful way to honor the love your mother gave you. When you embrace who you truly are, you step into the strength and beauty that have always been inside you. You will find a sense of peace and fulfillment that only comes when you are true to yourself. Conclusion: embracing freedom and living authentically, stepping into the life you were meant to live. Sagittarius, as we reach the end of this chapter, I want you to reflect on the powerful journey you've just taken. A journey of healing, of letting go, and of embracing your true self. The road to self-acceptance is not an easy one, but it is one of the most profound paths you can walk. When you learn to accept who you are with all your strengths, your flaws, and your imperfections, you open the door to true freedom. The freedom to live authentically, to love yourself unconditionally, and to release the burdens of past regret and fear. Your mother, in her infinite wisdom and love, has always wanted you to understand one simple truth: you are enough. You don't need to strive for perfection or chase validation from the outside world. You don't need to apologize for who you are. You are worthy of love just as you are, and your mother's love was a testament to that. She saw you for who you truly were, the beautiful, unique, and imperfect person that you are, and she loved you fiercely and unconditionally. Her love didn't depend on your achievements, your successes, or your mistakes. It was always about your presence, your heart, and your spirit. Now it is time for you to take that lesson and apply it to your own life. To love yourself unconditionally, without the need for perfection. To live authentically without the need to hide parts of yourself. To embrace freedom, knowing that your worth is not determined by anyone else's standards or opinions. The freedom you seek begins when you stop running from your true self and start living in alignment with your soul's deepest desires. When you let go of the fear of being judged, when you stop pretending to be someone you're not, and when you start living life on your own terms, you will find the peace and joy that has always been waiting for you. You are no longer bound by the weight of self-doubt or the need for approval. You are free to live the life you were meant to live, to step into your full potential, and to embrace the beautiful, authentic soul that you are. The love your mother gave you was not bound by time or space. It was eternal, and it will continue to guide you. As you step forward, let her love remind you of the freedom and strength that comes with embracing who you truly are. The journey to self-acceptance is ongoing. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you question if you are enough. But in those moments, remember this: you are loved. You are worthy. You are enough. You always have been, and you always will be. So step forward, Sagittarius, into the freedom that comes with embracing your authentic self. Know that your mother's love is still with you, guiding you every step of the way, as you create a life filled with peace, joy, and the boundless love that comes from living true to who you are.